Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. Today we have a special guest, Kiara Ana. She is a violin string player here based in Los Angeles. She does session work and she's also been on tour. She recently went on tour with Ariana Grande and she's about to head out with Adele. So welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So what was it like to be on tour?
It was amazing. She's an incredible musician. The tour itself was really fun. We went through the States a few times in Canada, and then we did Europe and Asia. Asia was super fun. And yeah, it was just a really great experience. It was a wonderful way to see old friends on the road that I hadn't seen in a while. There were a bunch of exchange students that came to my high school in college, and I was able to see them again in France, and so that was super cool.
Awesome.
And other than that, just a really amazing way to travel. You get a little snippet of each city because we were in Berlin for 3 days or something, so you get to wander around the city a bit, and it's a really magical way to travel.
Okay, so what's your story? How did you get started?
I am a violist first, and I went to school at Boston University for classical viola performance. When I was in school, I started playing with this Boston-based pop rock band, kind of like an indie rock band, and they're called Air Traffic Controller, and they still are going strong and they're awesome. They just put out a record. Go check it out. I started working with them and playing just on a few of their songs in the live show, and it turned out being very popular, having string players on those few songs, and so they started adding more and more strings, and I started playing with them more and more. And at that same time I was also started playing with a Trans-Siberian Orchestra during the winters. They hire local string players when they get to the city. So I started by just doing Washington, D.C. and Baltimore shows, and then I sort of worked my way to one winter where I played, I think it was 18 shows with the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, all the way from Virginia up to Manchester, New Hampshire. So it was super fun, and that kind of opened my eyes to, I could play this instrument, and there could also be fireworks happening next to me, and explosions and lights and colors, and the energy coming from the thousands of audience members was just so invigorating to me and felt so different than a concert hall. It's a different type of energy, and I loved it, and I was addicted. So I moved to New York after I graduated. I graduated in 2011, and I moved to New York, and I ended up just being in New York for a year, even though the sort of plan, I'm an East Coast girl, and the plan was just that I was going to live in New York. But I ended up just being there for a year, and circumstances brought me out to LA a few times in that year, and I had never really been here before, and I wasn't really sure about it, but then I was kind of convinced by a few producers that I was working with out here when I came out a few times to just give it a try, and I bought a one-way ticket, and here I am.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I've traveled a bit, in the first year or so that I was out here. I went on tour with this Japanese guy named Yoshiki, and he's the drummer and band member of this Japanese hair metal glam rock band called
Awesome.
X Japan.
Okay.
And so being in Asia with him is really quite a trip because he's very well known there, and his fans are very dedicated and wonderful. I've played with him since then. He just put out a documentary about his band, the sort of tragic but sort of rebuilding story of the band. Then the Ariana tour was all of 2015, and then this summer I'll be out with Adele.
Wow.
Yeah.
You excited?
Yeah, I'm super excited. A friend of mine actually yesterday texted me and told me, hey, you said you wanted to go on tour with Adele last year. So she was like, good job manifesting that. So I think I kind of did. It seems very far away in terms of playing the Staples Center 6 times. That's crazy to me. So yeah, it's happening.
Yeah.
Something's happening. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So in terms of being on tour, what are some of the pros and cons of being on tour all the time?
Yeah. I love traveling. I will say that when I travel for that long, I tend to get a little bit disenchanted with the travel, and that makes me really sad because I see it happening. We'll get to a city, and I wake up and I'm just like, where am I? And then I'm kind of like, I don't even care. And then I get mad at myself and I'm like, but I'm in Amsterdam, that's so cool. So Yeah, it goes back and forth because it's so amazing to be able to see so many cities and so many different people and so many cultures and different foods and everything every day. But then it's also like, where's home? So I get homesick for certain things. Like I do really love LA now, and you know, everybody talks about how terrible the traffic is, and it is.
Yeah.
And so I don't really get homesick for things like those artificially like traffic things or whatever, and I don't really miss driving, you know, or whatever, because you know when you're on tour,
you don't have to drive.
Yeah, you're not driving. I don't know what we were talking about. Oh, pros and cons.
Pros and cons. Yeah,
Pros,
you get to traveling,
seeing old friends. I mean, even especially in the States, I grew up on the East Coast, but I have a lot of friends that live in in Chicago or Seattle or Portland, and it's a great way to just be like, I'm in your town for a night, and then we get dinner, and totally, and it's a really lovely thing. And my lifestyle is very nomadic in that way, but it's pretty great and refreshing. It's not ever boring, which I love. Yeah. So I love the touring thing where you see a new thing every day, basically. By that same token, seeing a new thing every day can get tiring and monotonous in a weird way, because your days are very structured in a strange way. You know, when you have show days, you have lobby call around like, I don't know, 11 or noon or something, and you go to the venue, and all the venues at that point, when it's all the arenas, they kind of look the same, because a lot of these arenas are not in the middle of a city. They'll be a little bit farther out or in like a kind of industrial area. So there is a weird routine to touring, and that's what gets kind of monotonous and strange to me, where then I start missing my stove and and like my kitchen and my bed and my friends and loved ones, and yeah. But I think there's definitely a trade off, you know, being on the road and living that nomadic lifestyle and having those experiences. There's really nothing that compares to that, and being able to sort of make a living doing that is incredible. And that's something that I have to remind myself a lot when I get homesick or whatever, because being here is great also, and you might do a lot of different jobs and stuff, but there's nothing like that thrill of, I mean, those shows are just amazing, because you're playing in front of thousands of people that have like waited for a year to come to this show. You know, they like just want to be there so badly, and they're singing every single word. Like, my favorite part of touring basically is like looking out at the audience and like finding those people that are just like
so in it,
living so hard, and it's pretty incredible. Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah,
you're just getting tons of energy all the time.
Totally.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's easy to get distracted during the show of like, oh, I've done this show 50 times. But then if I just like reconnect and look out, it's like those people haven't seen it 50 times. It's their first time seeing it, you know,
yeah,
and
so
that's
like
new for them. So we have to make it new for us because it's new for them, and that's so cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's special. Yeah.
So what kind of advice would you give to musicians maybe who are looking to do something?
Yeah. I mean, touring is awesome. I think that everybody should do it. I'm so grateful to Ariana and the band. In terms of kind of advice or getting there, I would say the more you get out there just in the world, that's what's helped me a lot. Where I go out into Hollywood, and you know, I go to shows. I go very intentionally to like, I'll go to friends' shows mostly, and then I end up meeting friends of friends of friends or whatever. And then it's just the more that you're out, the more people see you, and the more they'll remember you and what you do. And because I've been, you know, I've gotten a lot of emails or calls from people that just say, oh, this person was looking for a violinist, and since I saw you last night, I thought of you, you know? So it's like you have to be there to be on people's minds, which makes it hard when you come back from tour. For months after I got back from tour, I would go out and people would be like, oh, aren't you on the road? Oh, you're here? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I'm here. I'm here, I'm back. So that's an interesting thing. So I think advice is just get out. Go and meet new people and expand your network kind of however you can. I mean, I think in the Facebook world now, it's really easy to expand your network in the way where you just add new friends on Facebook and stuff, but actually meeting people, it makes a much bigger impact. And I think especially now that social media is so active and everyone's just on it all the time. I think that actually human contact is like, it speaks volumes. And when you can have a really great conversation with somebody that you've just met, or when you can leave a lasting impression on someone, or when they leave an impression on you, then that's the most important thing, and that's what sort of drives forward. Because when you're on the road, it's a family, and you've got to kind of get along at least. You know, you've got to like be in, yeah, you've got to be in some sort of family unity with those people, because you're with them in very small quarters on a small bus with a lot of time. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing with us and talking to us about your adventures.
Thanks for having me.
And good luck with Adele this summer.
Thank you.